Hey guys, so yesterday I promised at the during the beginning of my Invincible Season 1 review that I would be doing reviews about the Falcon and the Winter Soldier and Mortal Kombat movie this weekend, and I'm following through on that promise, and I'm giving you first the review of the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Now, this is the second Disney Plus series that Marvel Studios has officially done. It was initially going to be the first before the you-know-what ended up happening, and eventually WandaVision became the first series, and this came out around 2 months after WandaVision debuted in January. And the basic premise behind the Falcon and the Winter Soldier is that it takes place 6 months following the events of Avengers Endgame. And Sam is struggling to accept the fact that he was given the shield at the end of Endgame, and he's contemplating whether or not he's really ready or worthy to take up the mantle of Captain America, and also worried about, what the rest of the world will think. Like, how would the world react to a black Captain America? Like, how will they react to that? And on the other side, you got Bucky, aka Winter Soldier, who is struggling with his past, and he's trying to learn and accept how to move past the trauma and the atrocities that he has done being the Winter Soldier and such. And so both Sam and Bucky's world end up colliding when a new terrorist organization known as the Flag Smashers emerge, and as they attempt to set the world back to the way it was during the blip, which was the 5-year time span that took place in between Infinity War and Endgame. And all the while, Sam and Bucky also had to deal with the appearance of John Walker, who is the new government Captain America after Sam essentially gave up the shield. And then eventually they also have to deal with the return of other familiar faces, such as characters like Baron Zemo or Sharon Carter. The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, it definitely has a lot to it. Like, there's definitely a lot here. Like, just breaking it down piece by piece, like, one thing that I really love about this show is the characters, and how, very much like WandaVision, this is something that you normally could not do with a 2-hour movie. Like, you could, but it would be very heavily condensed, and they would have to, move some things around, just outright remove other things, and other things like that. But with the advent of Disney Plus and all these other, with these streaming services, now we can be able to get greater in-depth storytelling without having to skimmy on any character development or any of the visual effects work or the budget or anything like that. And it definitely shows, because the budget for this is definitely very, very reasonably high for, a show like this. And it definitely shows, because the action sequences, they're really fantastic. It very much feels like the MCU is at its most John Wick, which makes sense because the creator of John Wick, Derek Kolstad, actually wrote the scripts for both episodes 3 and 4 of the show. So, kind of makes sense, the fact that it would kind of feel like that. But it also is able to have these really grand and really epic action sequences, but yet it's also able to counterbalance that with really personal and intimate character drama. Like, each of these characters has something that is going on in their minds. Like, they have their own arcs and goals that they want to achieve by the end of the series. As for mentioned, Sam is struggling about, whether or not he feels like he's worthy to live up to the legacy of Steve's shield and wishes to become Captain America. Bucky is struggling to make a name for himself after the events of all that he's transpired through, from First Avenger to Winter Soldier to Civil War and Infinity War and Endgame. He's very much trying to figure out a way how to make up for all his misgivings and evil deeds. Zemo is just along for the ride. Like, he's just really intrigued to see what Sam and Bucky are up to. And Daniel Brühl does a fantastic job as Zemo. Also really love how we get more on his background, like he was a baron in Sokovia before eventually all that went under. Really like how the fact that we actually get to see Zemo wearing the purple mask, which is really cool. And of course, we got Sharon Carter, who we haven't seen since the events of Civil War. Like, what has she been up to this entire time? It's like, as it turns out, she's selling illegal goods on the in Madripoor, which is normally an X-Men location. So once again, definitely a really big upside to the Fox Disney purchase. or the Disney Fox purchase, whatever. The point is, after the merger between Disney and Fox, they were able to essentially use elements and stuff that normally they couldn't otherwise, because of, limitations with, on rights issues and such, but because they own the rights to locations like Madripoor now, they can be able to fully use that. And also, of course, you got characters like John Walker, in which, he's the government-appointed Captain America after Sam turned in the shield at the beginning of episode 1. And it's really intriguing to see him go from him becoming the new government Captain America to becoming a U.S. agent, because he does seem like he does want to do good and comes from a good place, but it's just the fact that he's, how do I put this lightly? He's a bit mentally unstable, to say the least. Because I think it's definitely seen in episode 3, the moment in which he goes up to the one moment of the Flag Smasher, like he pushing him against the wall. He's like, "Do you know who I am?" And he's just like, "I do. And I don't care." It's like, yikes. And then there was the moment at the end of episode 4, which, oh boy, it doesn't quite reach the levels of Invincible in terms of the gore. But man, I'm shocked that they were able to get away with that on a Disney Plus show. Like, jeez. And I really love how the fact that episode 5 directly deals with the fallout and the ramifications of when Walker did that. And then we get an appearance by Julia Louis-Dreyfus, and I had no idea the fact that was Julia Louis-Dreyfus until I saw the credits. I'm like, yo, she looks really familiar, but where, what is her name? And then as soon as the name popped up in the credits, I'm like, of course, Seinfeld. But yeah, it was really cool having her show up in the show and have her sort of be like this evil Nick Fury-like individual. And a lot of people are speculating the fact that apparently she might be setting up the Thunderbolts or the Dark Avengers, which, yeah, man, if they're setting up the Thunderbolts, I would definitely love to see that. Like, I'm really intrigued to see, what exactly that could go next. And then, of course, you also got the Flag Smashers themselves, who are led by Karli Morgenthau, who is actually gender swapped from the original Flag Smasher in the comics, who was a male. And obviously, of course, a lot of the fundamental backstories in other things like that. Like, aside from the last name of Morgenthau and the fact that she has the name Flag Smasher, she's essentially a completely original character to the show. And on the one, it's very much like one of those things in which, like, you kind of understand, like, where exactly she's coming from and her actions, why she's doing this. But then again, she does a lot of really violent and really unforgivable stuff that kind of makes you go, okay, you definitely crossed the line there. Like, you definitely messed up there. But, yeah, not only that, but I really like all the character interactions, of course, this time around are absolutely fantastic. I like not just the interactions between Sam and Bucky, because, they're great. I mean, just the scene in Civil War alone shows how great their chemistry is, in which Bucky's like, "Can you move your seat up?" And Sam just goes, "No." Which they do a callback to that in episode 4, which I'm very glad that they did. Or is it episode 3? I'm forgetting which one. I think it might have been 4. Yeah, I think it might have been 4, or no, it was episode 3 or 4. Correct me in the comments if it was 4 or 3. Just let me know, because I watched the show week to week as it came out, and so of course some instances and memories of it are a little bit foggy for me. But yeah, But yeah, also just, getting in a little bit more of the spoilery stuff, like, man, just seeing that montage in episode 5 of Sam just training with the shield was fantastic, and to see him finally wear that Captain America costume is so good. In fact, one second. As you can guys clearly see there, obviously I'm a big fan of Sam Wilson as Captain America, so to have him finally wear the outfit in the finale was just absolutely fantastic. And not only that, but I'm really glad the fact that they were also able to bring in a character like Isaiah Bradley into the MCU. It's like, that as soon as I'm like in episode 2 when that ended up happening, in which they went to go visit Isaiah, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like they're actually doing this? Because the idea was, Isaiah came from a Marvel miniseries entitled, I think it was like Truth, Red, White, and Black, if I remember correctly. Well, once again, correct me in the comments below. In which it was revealed that Steve Rogers was actually not the first ever test subject for the super soldier serum, but that there were actually attempts beforehand that were tested on African American men to grant them super soldier abilities, and Isaiah Bradley was one of them alongside many other African American males. And it's actually like a really, really great story. Like, I definitely recommend checking out that Isaiah Bradley miniseries for yourself, because it offers like a lot of really interesting points and shows you sort of a little bit of the history of the Marvel Universe that you normally don't see. And the thing is, that was initially not going to be canon to the Marvel Universe, but because it was so well done and because people liked it so much, they were like, all right, let's make it canon. But yeah, it was just really cool the fact that they were able to include Isaiah Bradley in here and have him be once again another part of Sam's story arc in him, you know, because he very much seems the fact that he's very jaded. Isaiah is a very jaded man due to all the experiments that were done on him to replicate the super soldier serum from him after he was experimented on for all those years. And then, like, the exchange that him and Sam have in episode 5, in which, you know, he just goes, "They'll never let a black man be Captain America." And that just made me go, like, whoa. And not only this, like, it can be very topical, and it definitely delves into a lot of stuff that has happened in the real world. Like, there's literally a scene in episode 2 in which Sam and Bucky are walking from Isaiah's house when a cop car comes by, and a cop comes out, and he's like, you know, he goes to Bucky, he's like, "Sir, is this man bothering you?" And then Bucky goes, like, you know, "No, he's not bothering me, because you have any idea about who this is?" And then it's only when he realized the fact that he's the Falcon, aka somebody important, that he's like, you know, he backs off. It's like, wow, like, they really went there. So definitely got to really give it to Marvel for that. Now, moving on to, like, any problems that I sort of have with the series, like, there were some, like, a lot of people were talking about how the finale to the series kind of felt a little bit rushed, which I will admit, yeah, there were definitely some elements that kind of made me go, all right, cool, like, okay, so, we're getting to this now. Like, I thought maybe we'd be able to get more time to, like, move into this, but I guess we're not going to do that. And there were some bits and pieces of it that I'm like, okay, maybe that line wasn't particularly that great, or maybe, like, oh, maybe that action sequence wasn't as great as this action sequence, but yeah, overall, for the most part, The Falcon and Winter Soldier, I thought was a fantastic series. Marvel is just knocking out of the park with these Disney Plus series. Really like how this made it feel like this was their take on, like, a 48 Hours or Lethal Weapon style film, buddy cop film, mixed in with, like, a worldwide, globe-trotting espionage spy thriller. And of course, you know, there are great character moments for both the characters of Sam and Bucky. There's a lot that they're setting up in the future later on in the MCU. Like, I love how, I think her name is Oduye, from Captain America: Civil War and Black Panther. I like how she ended up showing up and arrested Zemo, was like, we are taking him back to the raft. And then, of course, you know, I'm really intrigued to see, you know, where exactly, like, it was reported literally the day the finale of Falcon and Winter Soldier came out, or as it was known at the end of the show, Captain America and the Winter Soldier, that Captain America 4 was actually in the works over at Marvel, and that it was being written by Malcolm Spellman, who, of course, you know, wrote and created the Falcon and Winter Soldier series, alongside the writer of Episode 5, Truth, who I'm forgetting his name right now, but yeah, and I'm like, hey, that's really cool. Like, and I also love the story about how when Anthony Mackie, when he first found out about Captain America 4, he found out about it when a cashier at the grocery store told him about it. Like, I find that really funny. But, yeah, overall, I'm definitely going to be giving The Falcon and the Winter Soldier a 9 out of 10. I think it is a really great series. Once again, another great addition to Marvel's catalog of stuff. And I'm really intrigued to see all the other Disney Plus series that are going to be coming out later. Like, I'm hyped to see what Loki's going to be about, because that looks like to be sort of like a time crime thriller type thing. And then, of course, you got other shows like What If, which is Marvel's first foray into animation. And then you got shows like Miss Marvel and Hawkeye. And that's not even mentioning all the other shows that they're currently doing right now, like Moon Knight, She-Hulk, Secret Invasion, Ironheart, Armor Wars, the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special, and Untitled Wakanda Set series. Like, Marvel has a lot of stuff in development right now. And I'm really hyped to see what exactly they're going to be doing next. So, yeah, hope you guys enjoyed my review of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. If there was anything that I left out or, got mistaken, let me know in the comments down below. And tune in tomorrow for when I give my review of the long-awaited reboot and R-rated, no less, adaptation of Mortal Kombat! So yeah, stay tuned for that. And as always, stay gold.